Hi, this is Visitor's Book and I'm Maija, your host. In this program, we're going to be meeting with diplomats and foreigners who live here in Pakistan, and we're going to find out what they really think about the country. So let's go. So our guest today is Doreen Kiani, the former country director of the National Democratic Institute. So let's go meet with her.
Hey Maija.
Hi Doreen. How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you. So nice to see you.
Thanks. We're really lucked out for the beautiful day today.
Yeah, it's the lovely weather and beautiful house you have. How long have you been living here?
Thank you. Almost 8 years now.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. And lovely garden as well.
Thanks. Here, should we sit?
Thank you. So it's been 15 years in Pakistan. That's quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've seen the country go through so many different periods of time. I mean, what year was it? 2003 you came here first?
I first came to visit at the end of 2002.
Okay.
Just for a short visit, meet my husband's family. And then we came here the end of 2004.
Okay.
So I've seen a lot of changes. Yeah.
What
for the better.
would you say? Yeah. I mean, what would you say is the biggest change you've observed in the country during this time?
Well, it's much safer now.
Yeah. Even compared to 2000, like early 2000?
Yeah, well, like, 2008, 9, and 10.
That was the bad
That
time.
was like, yeah, that was like really crazy. But yeah, it's much safer now. And also now you require a driver's license in Islamabad. Yeah. And when I first came, there were no footpaths.
Wow.
So, 7th Avenue, the building of 7th Avenue, the blue area, the roads widening and whatnot. So yeah, development-wise, it's improved a lot and it's safer. Yeah, I like it.
Great. And I mean, you obviously came here because of your husband who is Pakistani.
Yes.
Where did you guys meet?
We met in Jakarta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're from the U.S.
Yeah, I'm originally from New York City. And I was working in Indonesia. I was running a governance program, and he was in Singapore, and he used to go there on business. And I joke with him because he was the only man in Indonesia who was taller than me. So, but yeah, and then we came here, and he wanted to see how I could, fit in or like it, whatever, and the rest is history.
Wow. So what was he doing in Indonesia or in
He was
Singapore?
living in Singapore, and he was in he worked for Merrill Lynch.
Okay.
Way back when, and for banking and finance. So he used to go there a lot.
Okay.
So yeah. So when I first met him, I actually didn't know he was Pakistani.
Oh, okay.
So I heard him at a party. We were at a dinner party, and he was speaking Urdu, and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And then that's how I found out.
Did you have any kind of idea what kind of a country Pakistan was before you met him?
Oh, I think at that time, because of the, general media of Pakistan, being scary and all that, he also, was concerned, I think, because he'd been living abroad for a while.
Yeah.
And the first time we came here, we came through Dubai, and he actually had me dye my hair.
Like darker color?
Actually kind of like similar to yours, because he was concerned for me.
Oh.
I think after 9/11, being American and all that. So I was apprehensive, of course.
What did he tell you about the country? Like the culture and...
Well, he's really into history, so I mean his perspective is more, historical and to the, so he didn't say he was scared. And he himself wasn't. It was just for me. He was concerned for me. So I was apprehensive but curious.
Right.
So I mean, I still wanted to, wanted to come, and we went to the Wagah border, and we did all that on that first trip. So I also met Imran Khan on my first trip.
Wow.
Yeah, we were in Lahore, and because my husband went to HSN.
Okay.
So
famous college.
Yeah. So there, he invited us for lunch, and then he took us on the tour of the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And everything. So yeah, so that was
Prime Minister.
Yeah, who knew, right?
Wow. So you certainly made the right connections. Your first visit.
But yeah.
Wow.
So I had a really nice time.
Okay.
And it was my first segregated wedding.
So you got married in Pakistan then?
No, I got married. I did get married in KP, but on my first trip here, I went to a wedding in Lahore, and it was the first segregated wedding I'd been to. So I was sitting with all these women, and like nobody would talk to me.
Oh my God.
At first, it was like really awful, and then my husband explained that most of them didn't speak English.
Okay. Yeah.
And then later it was fine, but that was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, after that, I got used to it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it was necessary for you to dye your hair, or like,
no.
people
after that, I said, I'd rather cover my head.
Yeah.
If you're going in certain areas.
Exactly.
And I just, but yeah, it was an adventure.
Wow. Okay. So you mentioned you got married in KP. Is that where your husband is from?
He lived in his tribe, if you will, is Punjab in KP.
Okay.
In the Pothohar region. And when he was younger, they lived in KP for a while. His family did. And so he speaks Pashto also. Right. So no particular reason. Yeah, it was just convenient.
Okay. But the first, mainly you moved to Islamabad. Like, this is where you
Well, we came to Islamabad. Actually, I had gotten a grant to come here. Okay. And I was working on an orphan project. And so when we first came here, we weren't 100% sure how long. We didn't really have a plan, if you will, how long we were going to stay here. So we came and we did that project, and then, I don't know, we just liked it, and 15 years later, here we are. So,
and what about like your friends and family back in the States? What did they think when you said like, okay, I'm moving to Pakistan?
Well, I'd always traveled a lot, so it wasn't so much of a big deal. But prior to here, when I was working in Indonesia, I worked in Aceh, where if you know, that's where the tsunami happened. Yeah. So actually, they were glad I was here. Okay, so because a few months after I was here, and the tsunami happened December 2004. So like, oh, we're glad you're in Pakistan. So it's all relative.
Okay, yeah, that's true. And so, what were you doing in Indonesia exactly?
I was working for an NGO, and I was running a USAID governance program. That was throughout the country. Okay. And as part of that program, during that time, Aceh was granted Sharia law by the president. And so they actually approached me to help them implement it. Oh, wow. So I worked with a local lawyer, expert in Sharia law, and we did the first direct election law for Aceh, and we also redid the education system, Sharia compliant, if you will.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so it was a fabulous experience. Yeah.
How would you say Indonesia was different from your experience in Pakistan? I mean, they're both like Muslim countries.
There actually are similarities. I would say more. The first thing I noticed when I came here is the devolution of power. They were trying to be less centrist and devolving to the provinces. I actually saw similarities when I first came here, because then Pakistan at that time was trying to do that. I mean, they still are. So I was very cognizant of, I was like, oh, please, learn from their mistakes, from Indonesia's mistakes. Okay. So I actually saw similarities.
Yeah. What about culture-wise?
One thing I did notice when I first came here, that at that time, I think it would be a little different now, that people didn't smile as much. Oh, yeah? But it was a very tough time for Pakistan back then. Now I would say that's changed. Okay. And it seems much more open, very welcoming. But the people here are amazing. Yeah. The hospitality, and everywhere I've been, I've just been very welcomed. And then, of course, in the beginning, again, we were apprehensive because of what we see on a lot of the mainstream media. It's like, oh, you're American. And
but it was like right after the 9/11 attacks.
So, but it wasn't like that. So everybody was really nice. So.
That must have been a really nice surprise for you as well.
So I feel I'm very fortunate. Also, my in-laws are great. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. So I married into a nice family. So
that's amazing.
I'm fortunate.
So we were just discussing like security and how things have changed in Pakistan. But I mean, Indonesia was also going through a very difficult time at the time when you were living there. How did that affect your daily life there?
Well, I was there when 9/11 happened, and shortly after 9/11, the Bali bombing, if you remember that. So, yes, you were just on guard all the time, and then there was also a bombing in the Marriott in Jakarta while I was there. Yeah. So, yeah, by the time I got here, it was kind of, I mean, I hate to say used to it, but...
Yeah, but you do kind of.
However, I have to say, however much you think you're used to it, you still get that feeling when something happens. It's
somewhere in the back of your mind all the time, isn't it? And that's where you notice it's so different now, because you don't have to worry constantly, even like subconsciously.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there were security issues even besides the bombings of, you know, people being like held up in the middle of the day, you know, in their cars, going to the ATM, stuff like that. Right. So I actually had been going through that in Indonesia. And then when I worked in Aceh, there was a civil war going on there. Exactly. You know, there were curfews, there were like checks, and you didn't know if it was going to be the rebels or the military. You didn't know who was
very dangerous.
checking you. So I think it helped.
Yeah, so it kind of prepared you.
Yeah, so when I came here, it was just kind of, you know, you just kind of eased into it.
Exactly. So you had like some background in living in a country like that.
But both cultures, I have to say, are very, the people are just so welcoming, I think. And they have such a resilience. And I think one thing I worked on my orphan project there is their belief system actually helped with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because some of the things that the kids have gone through there, and then some subsequently here too, that their faith, I think, really helped get them through that.
Wow. So what did you do in the US before you moved to Indonesia?
I worked for the governor of New York.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a great job. I was in legislative affairs, and I covered New York City for the state. But I got really interested in international relations, and so I started studying, and I thought, you know, to really understand a place, I really think you have to go there, to go overseas, to really get a good grasp. I had no plan to stay. Yeah. I thought when I was going for like a year or two.
Yeah, and now it's been 15.
Here, well, no, it was 15 here. Yeah. So, I mean, I left January 2001.
Yeah, it's almost 20 years.
So, yeah, so it's been a while. So, yeah, you just take things as they come along, but it's just been fascinating.
Yeah. And what about this like passion to live abroad? Was your family also like that they like to travel, or you were the first one who just felt like I need to get out there?
I'm a mystery to my family, actually.
Okay.
I mean, they like to travel, but not the way I travel.
Not to really.
I've always been like this. I don't know how or why. If I saw something I was interested in, I would just go there. For example, for a period of time, I became obsessed with Vietnam. Because in the U.S., you know, you grew up hearing about it a lot. So I read all these books, and I read about the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, and I was like, this is really crazy. So I just went there.
Wow.
So I just went there because I wanted to see the topography and, like, you know, how did this happen? And that led to me meeting General Giap, who was alive at the time. And then I said, wow, I really should write about this, because I felt I learned a lot that really hadn't been out there. So I actually have started writing a book on this.
Oh, is it? Wow.
So inshallah, in the next year or so, I would like to finish that. So,
that's incredible.
So that could come out,
Now, you seem to always meet the right people.
It was really, I mean, I couldn't have planned it. Yeah. It was just amazing. And this is because I went to Dien Bien Phu. Yeah. And I needed a translator. So a friend of mine, she's like, oh, why don't you just take my Vietnamese teacher, And so I started telling him about my passion for this, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to meet, General Chap?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Sure."
sure." And so the rest is history with regard to that too.
No, I think that's really nice. I mean, especially in this day and age, just to want to go out there and see places and people for yourself and not to judge them based on what you read in the news. I think that's very
to really
important.
understand.
Exactly.
To really understand. And I've traveled so much. At the end of the day, we're all humans. There is such commonality. There's commonality of just regular people, politicians. They're the same all over.
Exactly.
So and it's just human nature, and so that's why it's the interesting thing is, having done all this traveling, you coming back to the beginning that we're all so similar.
Yeah.
So
that's the takeaway for you.
Yeah. Shall we go indoors for some tea?
Yeah, I would love to. Let's do that.
All right.
We're going to take a short break. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here with Doreen Kiani, and we're about to have some tea. So up until now, you were working as the country director of the National Democratic Institute. What did the institute do here in Pakistan exactly?
It's mostly democracy and governance work. For example, in the last election, we trained the polling agents for the political parties, who subsequently did cascade trainings to make sure all of the polling agents in this election knew what the law was, knew how to proceed if they saw something that they thought was inappropriate. We worked with the ECP on that also, so that was a great achievement, I think, of NDI. We've also done a policy development work. Okay. Working with people of how to have, kind of research-based policies. Instead of just, espousing an idea that might be good, but you have research to support it. And also we just, our last project, it was women's civic participation.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of women, had not been aware that, of what their rights are.
Okay, yeah.
And also just getting involved, getting educated, and even sports for women.
Oh, really? Wow.
Which was, we try to encourage that. So I think sports in general in Pakistan, I mean, I'm glad to see that they're doing more of that here, because it just, I think it just creates a healthier human being, if you will. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How long did you work for the organization?
It was 7 years, 8 or 9 months. Yeah, almost 8 years.
Where do you think most work is still needed in terms of democratization in Pakistan?
Oh, well, I think Pakistan's on a positive trajectory. They've made a lot of improvements, and the fact that people are talking substantively now, I think, is a really good thing. They know what the problems are. They just have to work on how to fix some of those problems. I've been doing governance work for quite some time, so you kind of know where the gaps are, and you work on it. But the biggest thing is acknowledgement, which I think is evident right here in Pakistan, that everybody is acknowledging where improvements are needed, and they are working on it. So I've seen a lot of positive developments here.
What do you think has been the most impressive change that you've noticed over the years here?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's, well, the first thing I noticed as I came here, as the media was opening up. Yeah. I mean, and since then, there's even, more open media. So that's positive. The second big change I saw was, while political parties always had manifestos before, they weren't talking about them. Okay. Now they do. And they discuss what is in their manifestos. So the level of conversation, I think, is much better now than it was when I first got here. So yeah, I mean, democracy is a process.
Exactly.
You know, there's no like, oh my gosh, we're perfect now. We don't have to do anything. Even other, you know,
even European
democratic countries, they're still trying to refine, you know, as you go along. And I think Pakistan's on that road. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pakistan's going to be okay.
Good. And so what do you think about the participation of the youth? Like, I think, I might be wrong, but I think in the past the youth wasn't necessarily that interested in politics or voting and stuff like that. Do you think that has improved now?
Oh, definitely, for sure. I mean, you know, you have 60% of the population is under 30.
Exactly.
Yeah, you really need to be looking at that.
Yeah.
In all of our programs, we've made, in NDI's programs, we had always made the efforts to include youth in the conversation, including our policy development work. Through the process of doing that, I mean, that was a very long, it was like a 7-year program we did. I saw people come, you know, and they were very shy and intimidated and unsure of themselves, and it was so nice to see them grow and, you know, to become empowered. And now a lot of them are very much so involved in politics and government. So just to see the confidence, you know, coming through these youth and watching them grow up, if you will, it's really nice. So I think now they're very much involved. Twitter's probably helped that a little bit.
Exactly. Like, I was just going to say, like, do you think like technology has played a role, or social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because they could get involved on their own.
Exactly.
They don't get permission, if you will.
Yeah.
So they feel they have a voice. I mean, ultimately, everybody just wants to feel that they're heard.
Exactly.
So not necessarily have to agree with them. That's okay, but just a healthy conversation, healthy debate is good for any country.
Absolutely. And what about, like, you mentioned that you worked on like getting women also more involved in the democratic process. Where do you think Pakistan stands in terms of that? Like, is there enough participation, and how can that be improved?
I think now the participation has improved. I think now it's just a matter of women wanting to get involved and making sure they get the proper training and you know, kind of bone up on their skills. I've always been a proponent to say, okay, make yourself really good at whatever it is you want to do, and then have people say, oh, and she happens to be a woman. Yeah. Because sometimes you have, you know, if you just choose somebody because they're a woman. Exactly. And then people kind of don't take them seriously. I've seen that here. Yeah. Oh, she's just there because, you know, whatever. So however you get there, that's fine. But just make sure you bone up on your skill set, whatever it is you're doing. And they are, I mean, one misconception, I think, in a lot of Western countries about whether it's Pakistani woman, especially if a woman wears a hijab or niqab or something like that, that they're like, you know, very kind of
oppressed,
oppressed and quiet. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm like,
that is not true.
Yeah, I mean, Pakistani women are amazingly strong.
Exactly.
Amazingly strong, hijab or no hijab.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
In one of my programs, we had a woman who, she wore the niqab, and my gosh, she was like the smartest one in the room. Yeah. I mean, she was brilliant. I mean, she knew her stuff. She read all the legislation. She knew everything. Wow. So, you know, I would just appeal to Western people is don't stereotype a woman just because she's wearing a niqab or hijab. She could be equally as smart and tough as anybody else.
But yeah, I mean, there are so many amazing, powerful, important female politicians in the country already. I mean, amazing examples to look up to, right?
So yeah, so they're just within that, I think they've made a lot of progress. You know, they still want to, you know, be taken seriously, to be part of the governance conversations. Yeah, so you had a prime minister here who's a woman, so
exactly right. That's a pretty good starting point.
Yeah,
and so much earlier than many other countries as well. So yeah. And I read that the NDI always tries to work with like minorities in every country. What minorities have you engaged with here in Pakistan?
Well, as part of all of our programming, we made an effort to include women.
Yeah.
A certain percentage of women, a certain percentage of young people, and to include minorities, religious minorities.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, for example, we worked with all ethnicities, so there was no even thinking about minority there because we automatically included everybody. So yeah, and it was so nice to see the way, I'm sorry, but they got along with everybody. Everybody worked together. Nobody, if I didn't tell you who the minority was, you wouldn't have noticed. I mean, there was no prejudice amongst the group. So that's another, I think, maybe slight misconception.
Yeah, so like when it comes to the grassroots level, there's like not that many problems between
when
people.
When you put people in a room together and you're saying, okay, we have a project, we're going to solve this problem, we're going to talk about it, they work together.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think a lot of, you know, if there's any prejudice is usually from a distance.
Exactly.
For example, if you've never met a particular kind of person, you know, it's easier to hate somebody you've never met. Absolutely.
That kind of leads me to the next topic I wanted to discuss with you, which is that you've actually converted to Islam. What led you to become so interested in this religion at such a time when Islam was and still is being so vilified in Western media?
I was working in Indonesia on a governance program, and during that time, as I mentioned to you previously, Aceh was given Sharia law by the then president of Indonesia, and I was asked to help them implement it because I'd been doing governance programs throughout the country. So I had already read the Quran in English, and so then I read every book I could find on Sharia. Luckily, I was working with a lawyer, a local lawyer, who's a Sharia expert also. So I just became really curious, and I was in Indonesia, and I wanted to study the Quran, but I couldn't find a class for older women and with an English explanation, so that didn't work out. So then I met my husband, and we came here, and I was talking to a couple of ladies here, and I said, oh, you know, I've always wanted to study the Quran, you know, and they're like, oh, we're taking this class right now, why don't you come with us? And I did. Wow. And 2.5 years later, I finished the Quran.
Wow.
I finished the full study of the Quran.
Impressive.
So, yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I mean, the people were very kind. I mean, I made mistakes and didn't know stuff and everything, but yeah, it was gradual. It wasn't. My husband did not force me, is what a lot of a lot of people think, assume that, which is not the case. Yeah. So in fact, while I was studying, I even like knew some stuff that he didn't know.
Oh, okay. So you got to be like, nope. Wow.
So yeah, it was gradual, and it just felt comfortable.
Yeah. So it started like as a more academic interest, and then you started kind of thinking about stuff, and was there like a particular moment that made you be like, okay, I want to convert?
No, it was gradual. Yeah, I would say.
Did you convert here or in Indonesia? Okay.
Yeah, no, Indonesia. Okay. You know, I hadn't studied, you know, so then I just had the desire to learn more. Exactly. Because I had read everything that I could possibly read. So, and I did when I was in Aceh, I noticed that the children that had gone and seen so much horror in the conflict there, that their faith had gotten them through it.
Okay, so that like made you think there must be something special.
So I was like, yeah, so there's something there.
And you kind of missed something like that in your own maybe culture and upbringing. You didn't have. Like
religion is a personal choice. I think, you know, that's, you know, I'm not saying anything is, you know, is better or whatever. It's just that it just felt comfortable for me. And so it was just kind of a gradual thing. Yeah, great. So.
And what about here in Pakistan? Like, how do people react when you tell them you're a Muslim?
Oh, they're fine.
They must be very happy to find out that, right?
Yeah. A lot of alhamdulillah and all that.
Exactly.
But generally it's neutral. I mean, they're whatever religion they are.
So it doesn't even come up that much as a topic.
No.
Right. So what's next for you now? I mean, now that the program has ended here.
Yeah. I'm starting my own company.
Okay.
So, so in the next, month or so, you can follow me on Twitter, and I'll give you some updates.
All right.
We'll be working in a couple of different areas. One with women's education.
Excellent.
And other would be like public policy and governance.
Okay.
And I personally would like to do something for the healthcare industry here. Coming from New York City, where we have a really excellent system, I would like to work to help to make the system here better. You see a lot of people here going abroad for medical care.
Yeah.
Why don't we work together to make the system so they don't have to?
That's very important.
That's my thing. So I know it's like a long. So baby steps.
Yeah.
So I would like to work with people here of how to make the system here better.
Okay, well, looking forward.
Inshallah.
So, are you getting hungry soon?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking we could go and grab some food outside.
Okay.
All right,
Good idea.
Let's do that.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here with Doreen Kiani, and we're about to order some food. Okay. So you have a daughter, and this is one of her favorite places, right?
Yes, it is.
What does she like to eat here?
Well, she likes sushi, pizza, and Pakistani food.
Okay.
So she's like a big biryani person.
Oh, wow.
So she likes that she can get it all in one place.
Great.
She actually wanted me to bring something back with her, so when we're done.
Okay, so let's see. What should we have? Maybe something Pakistani, I would say. We could maybe have something. Let's have pakoras. Yeah, that's always nice. And maybe like we can do some kind of a, kind of like a starters kind of a thing. I'm not that hungry, actually.
Chana?
So chana chaat, yeah, let's have that. And bel puri, that would be good as well. Okay, let's do that. Thank you. Are you a biryani fan as well?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Do you have a particular kind that you like the most?
Sindhi biryani.
Yeah, that's the spiciest.
Yeah.
So you like spicy food? You don't have a problem? Sometimes.
Not all the time.
Okay.
So I like a variety.
Yeah? So you've actually gone to Karachi and had it there?
Yeah, I've had it there, and we make it all at the house too.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Have you learned how to make it yourself?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't make it for you.
Okay.
But
I'm sure you would do a much better job than me.
Handi's easier.
I
like handi. That's a bit easier.
Yeah. Who taught you? Your husband? No.
No. Yeah. Beyond eggplant, he's not good in the kitchen. But
what kind of food do you eat at home? Do you eat like a mixture of Pakistani and Western?
We eat a mixture.
Okay.
I'm part Italian, so we have Italian food sometimes.
Oh, that's nice.
And then we have Pakistani food. My daughter's like totally Pakistani, so she could eat biryani for breakfast, and she does sometimes. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not candy, so okay.
So you're basically from New York.
Yeah, New York City. Yeah.
Okay. Do you go back home a lot?
Usually in the summer, after the school year, we go home for a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah, we just, do all our shopping, walk around. I mean, the thing I like about New York City is you can walk around a lot.
Exactly, yeah.
And,
it's a totally different city from Islamabad.
But it's a nice balance, to tell you the truth. I'm Alhamdulillah, I'm lucky to have this balance of being here during the year and then just going there during the summer.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you mentioned that you go in summer, like that's when it gets very hot here, so that must be but it is quite hot in New York City as well, right?
Well,
in summer.
It's funny, after living here, like they don't know what hot is.
Right.
I mean, I remember, was it last year or the year before, we were going back and they were just like, oh, it's like in the 90s, and I'm like, so?
What is that? Yeah, that's nothing.
Like nothing. So I'm much more tolerant of the heat after living here, for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. anything else that you miss, like besides certain types of food here, like lifestyle-wise?
It's just, I wouldn't say miss, but it's just different.
Yeah.
In that you walk around there all the time.
Exactly.
You know, like whether you're going to the grocery store or shopping, you're always walking all the time. Where here, while you can walk more here now than you used to, but you still really need a car.
Yeah, because it's more like also like people just go places in their cars, and I think it's a similar thing in LA as well,
Yes,
right? It's
you have
not
to have
a
a
city
car.
where you walk.
Yeah,
right? So
it's really between a city and a suburb, Islamabad.
Exactly.
It's not a city.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like New York is. But
the food is here.
oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I mean, you know, your daughter was born here. She's how old is she now?
She's going to be 13.
Okay.
Yeah. Real soon.
How was the experience of like raising a child in Islamabad? I mean,
Well, it's the only child I've ever raised.
yeah, of course. So you can't really compare.
Yeah, it was fine. One thing I really like about Pakistan is that it's very family oriented.
Yes.
So I found everybody's like very helpful, and like if you're going to a function and you know you want to bring your child or you have to bring your child for whatever reason, they're fine with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're very welcoming for children here. So I really like that, even in the workplace. So that's a good thing about raising a child.
Like what do you like to do as a family on your free time here?
Oh gosh. Well, we like to go for walks. We have 2 little dogs. Sometimes we take them too. They've just recently fixed up the area where there's a nice walkway. There's a lot of open areas in Islamabad that they've really fixed up recently, which is nice.
Yeah.
So it's like a proper walking place. But I just love just being outside with all the flowers and nature and everything.
It's such a green city.
It's relaxing.
Really, yeah, it's really nice. Okay, shall we try some?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Delicious.
Want some of this?
Yeah, sure. There you go. Yeah. It's very good. So, I mean, over the past 15 years, I'm sure you have gotten to travel quite a bit. Do you have any, like, particularly memorable trips that you like to tell people about?
I would say like the coolest trip I took was the Khyber steam safari.
Oh my god.
I'm not sure if it's still on. This was 2005. It hadn't been open since like forever. Like it was originally British. It's the actual British train.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun because it went all through KP, went through tunnels, and then up to the border and everything. We made stops along the way, all the different stations, and so if that's not still open, they really should reopen it again.
Yeah.
Because it was really like quite an adventure. So that was quite fun. I'd love to take my daughter now, because that was before her.
What was so interesting about it?
Well, you just got to see the countryside and the mountains, and you like we would stop at different places, and there would be the indigenous dances and everything from that area.
So it's like an organized trip in that way.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not just like taking the train to Karachi or something like that. Yeah. So we made all these stops, and we went up to the border and everything. And the fact that it was an old train, it had like a charm to it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like there was no air conditioning.
Okay. Yeah.
But at the time I went, it was fine. Like you didn't really need it, so that was.
Was it like organized especially for foreigners, or because it sounds like a very touristy thing, you know?
Well, there was a reopening.
Okay.
So it was the Pakistan Tourism Department, whatever.
Okay.
PTDC or something like that was hosting it.
Yeah.
So this was like the maiden voyage of, of reopening it. So we were invited by a friend of ours from KP. So we're lucky.
And then every stop, like, did you go to the villages actually, or you just got out of the train at the station?
It was different in different places. Okay. Some places you actually went inside. Other places you just stopped in that area, and then you would, you know, there would be some entertainment or something. Yeah. You know, one place you stop and you would have lunch, and it was, but just the majesty of the mountains and everything was just really, really beautiful.
That must have been really nice. Where else have you been?
Skardu. Skardu's really, really beautiful. So clean. Skardu, and then from Skardu, we drove to Deosai Plains. And then on to, we went to Sugar Valley, which that was really pretty. Deosai Plains is beautiful. I think it's more developed than when I went. Yeah. When I went, there was nothing like on the way, but it
also has its charm. Yeah. By the way.
I mean, it was, you know, there were the yaks, and like our Jeep got stuck in the water in the river, and we had to get out, and like you know. So so it was like quite an adventure. Yeah. And sounds like it. I have to say, Pakistani drivers are like amazing.
I know, right?
I mean, I think the only reason we're alive today is because our driver on that trip was so good.
So skilled, right?
Yeah, because on the way back it rained, like so much, like you couldn't see, you know, like 10 feet in front of the car. But the drivers were just amazing. So, but Skardu is really beautiful. I would recommend that for people, and then go up to Deosai Plains.
And you've also been to the Torkham border, right?
Yeah, when I first came here, my husband did the whole, you know, tourist thing. Right. You know, we did the Wagah border, and then we did the Torkham border. Yeah. So that was fun. Yeah, we drove, and so we just, you know, from here we went to Peshawar, and we stayed overnight, and then we drove up ourselves, and then also there we stopped along the way, which was quite an adventure. Yeah. So that was really fun. Yeah. I mean, and to see the border, you know, because you hear about all this stuff in the news and everything, but
back then it was safe, so you could go all the way there.
So yeah, and we actually sat there and had lunch, like this little place like right before the border and stuff.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So what would you like recommend tourists, like what are the places all over Pakistan that you would recommend somebody who's coming here for the first time to see?
You know, it also depends on what your interests are. I mean, if you're an outdoorsy person or you're into the culture, there's so many things. Swat is also really nice.
Yeah, you've been there.
Yeah. I was there before all the stuff broke out, but now, you know, that they're reopening the ski run and everything. Swat's really beautiful. I would recommend Skardu to anybody. Also, if you go to Skardu, see polo, if you can.
Have you been to the Shandur Polo Festival?
My husband has, I haven't. I was busy during that, but yeah. But this is polo in Skardu.
Yeah, just that's a different thing.
It's quite big there.
You can see that there as well.
So, So you there also you would meet a lot of climbers who are like going on their way to K2.
Yeah.
So a lot of
foreigners there as well. Cool. So if it wasn't for your husband, do you think you'd ever have ended up coming to Pakistan at all?
Oh gosh. Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But some like very, very strange thing happened. After 9/11, I had gone back. You know, I went to New York for my break, and I went to see the wall. You know, they listed all the countries that, you know, people were from that died in 9/11. So a friend of mine took a picture of me just in front of a wall like this, and my hand was pointing to Pakistan.
Seriously?
I had no idea. It was like,
wow.
It was so
like destiny.
I didn't realize that. Yeah. So then later on, I looked at that picture and I was like, oh my gosh, that's really weird.
It's like a sign.
Yeah.
You were meant to come here.
So I don't know. I really enjoy it. It's such a rich history in this region. I mean, I'm still learning more every day. So,
exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You can never know all about Pakistan, right?
Yes.
All right. So then it's time for a rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, shalwar kameez or Western clothes?
Shalwar kameez.
Okay. Lahore or Karachi?
I can't choose there. I have relatives in both.
Okay, so. Both. All right, fair enough. Street art or truck art?
Street art.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Chicken biryani or mac and cheese?
Biryani for sure.
Yeah? Do you ever eat mac and cheese here?
No.
Not your favorite. Okay.
Yeah.
Times Square or the Statue of Liberty?
Oof. Statue of Liberty, I think, yeah.
Jakarta or Islamabad?
Islamabad.
Lovely. Baseball or cricket?
Oh, gosh. And I'm a Yankee fan, so that's hard. I appreciate cricket.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I would say both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, in equal measure.
Yeah.
Okay. Jazz or Bhangra?
Bhangra. Yeah.
More fun.
It's fun.
There's dancing.
Yes.
And colors.
Yes.
The first thought that comes to your mind when I say SWAT?
Oh, beautiful scenery.
Skardu?
Clean.
Pakistani weddings?
Fun.
That's true.
Fun.
They are. The best thing about Pakistan?
The people.
Very
Definitely.
nice. Okay. Then it's time for you to sign our visitor's book. So just your name and your comments. I love Pakistan. It's a great place to be.
Okay.
Short and sweet. That's very true.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Doreen,
Thank
for
you.
being on the show. And
Okay.
I hope you continue to have a lovely time in Pakistan.
Okay, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for today. Please join me again next week. And don't forget to follow us on social media at indus.news. Goodbye.